This is Optimal Startup Daily, episode 44, Productivity for Leaders by Laura Stack of theproductivitypro.com. And I'm Dan, your host. Happy Friday to you. Hope you've had a great week so far if you're listening in real time. This is, of course, where I read to you from some of the best entrepreneurial blogs on the planet. And by the way, if you didn't know, this is actually just one of a bunch of different podcasts in our network. So if you search for Optimal Living Daily in the podcast app of your choice, you should be able to see all of our shows. Optimal Living Daily, which was the original show hosted by Justin, covers personal development and productivity, which is actually today's author's specialty. So if you like today's episode, definitely check out that show. Again, that's Optimal Living Daily. But for now, let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. Productivity for Leaders by Laura Stack of theproductivitypro.com. Personal productivity is one thing, but once you take on leadership responsibilities, productivity is a whole new ballgame. Suddenly, it's no longer just a matter of being the best you can be, but of bringing out the best in those around you. And this can be hard. Priorities compete, personalities conflict, and let's face it, some folks just won't always be as committed as you are to putting in a productive day's work. Bad days happen, even to the best of us. So how do you go about creating a productive team environment that contributes not only to individual productivity, but also to that of the group as a whole? Teach others that not in their job description should be not in their vocabulary. It's a fact of life. Sometimes employees will be asked to do things outside of their normal duties. When it is going to take a team effort to get the job done, you want folks ready to roll up their sleeves and pitch in wherever necessary. In general, of course, you want everyone to have their own set of defined responsibilities, but in the real world, these tidy boundaries will never hold up 100% of the time. Keep a positive attitude and reward your team for pulling together and getting things done. You should be creating an environment where people jump at the opportunity to help others, as opposed to standing back and watching the chaos unfold. Save the day now. Fix the problem later. Imagine this scenario. There's a big project on the line and your whole team needs to pull together to pull it off one day before the deadline. You're frustrated. You want to know how this happened. Who dropped the ball? Why didn't they ask for help sooner? Where did the system break down? Well, forget it, at least until the dust settles. This is not the time for second-guessing, finger-pointing, or scapegoating. You can't tolerate any of that from anyone on your team. This point is worth making at the outset of your work. Let everyone know that the problems will be addressed, but not until the crisis has passed. The first order of business is to pull together and finish the project. Do it with a positive attitude and make sure your people are doing the same. Once the project is safely complete, you can sit down, figure out what happened, and make sure that it never happens again. This way, not only will cooler heads prevail, but the project won't suffer because of internal strife and tension. Maintain a united front. A reasonable amount of conflict is a good thing. It can help stimulate ideas and bring out the best in people. But as a leader, it is your job to have the final say. Your team might squabble and butt heads from time to time, but it is your job to make sure that they all leave the table with a common purpose. We can argue all we want behind closed doors, you might say, but when we put on our public face, our team must be in agreement externally. Set and manage expectations. As a leader, it is your job to establish the collective tone, attitude, and work ethic of your group. Decide what is expected and make your thoughts well known. Do you expect others to meet deadlines or try to exceed them? Will you tenaciously track everyone's working hours, or do you allow a certain degree of flexibility? How informed should your direct reports keep you about the status of their projects? Just the high points, or do you prefer quite a bit of detail? Your people are not mind readers. Make sure they know what you expect of them and what they can expect from you. Keep regular, recurring appointments to review each individual's progress, and use the opportunity not just to get a quick status report, but also to reinforce your expectations. And what about managing expectations? That means that as priorities conflict and you adjust your expectations, you share these changes with your team. If someone needs to drop everything and focus on one problem or project, make sure he or she knows that this is the case. If you need to be kept more informed than usual about a particularly important initiative, make sure that the person responsible is aware. This can be as simple as saying, "Hey, I know that you are the right person for this job, but there are some issues going on that might be more obvious from my position than they are to you. Please just keep me posted on your progress and let me know right away if you run into any problems. Don't just make rules, build character. You can set rules all day long, but what you really want to do is help develop the character of your team. Character is what kicks in when the rules break down. It is also what is going to help your team get through tough, demanding times. A team with strong character requires much less management than one with questionable character. Your people will appreciate not being micromanaged, and you'll have more time to address your job duties. The bottom line is that productivity that goes above and beyond is based on a person's values. If you employ someone who values hard work and honesty, that's what you can expect from them when you're not looking. Clearly state the productivity traits you want people to demonstrate: integrity, accountability, punctuality, excellence, self-discipline, responsibility, and honesty. Hang them on your wall. Repeat them often. Refer to your values when explaining your decisions. Do whatever you can to make sure that your team knows what you stand for and knows that you expect the same from them. Lead by example. People might question what you say, but they can't deny what they see you do. If you arrive late, miss deadlines, or settle for sloppy work, you are sending the message that that sort of thing is acceptable. On the other hand, if you show a sincere commitment to following through on your promises, fulfilling your obligations, and behaving with integrity, you are helping to set a positive standard for the people around you. Be consistent. Contradicting yourself one time can undo years of demonstrating good behavior. People tend to notice inconsistency in a heartbeat and generally have very little patience for it. You could execute every one of the tips above to absolute perfection, but if you don't lead by example, it isn't going to stick. Hold your team to a high standard, but hold yourself to an even higher one. You just listened to the post titled Productivity for Leaders by Laura Stack of theproductivitypro.com. And thank you to Laura. She's an award-winning keynote speaker and the best-selling author of 8 books, obviously known as the Productivity Pro for good reason. Her engaging personality, combined with over 25 years of experience helping organizations achieve results, have made her one of the most sought-after experts and keynote speakers in her field. Laura has been featured in the New York Times, USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, Entrepreneur, and Forbes magazine, and she's been a spokesperson for Microsoft, Danone, 3M, Office Depot, Xerox, and more. And if that wasn't enough, her client list includes top Fortune 500 companies, including Starbucks, Wal-Mart, Bank of America, GM, Wells Fargo, and Time Warner, plus government agencies such as the United States Air Force Academy, the Census Bureau, the U.S. Senate, and even the IRS. There's a lot to learn from her, so please come by theproductivitypro.com for a lot more. She has her videos, books, store, newsletter, and blog all at that site. Again, that's theproductivitypro.com, and thanks again to Laura for letting us share her work. But that'll do it for episode 44 of Optimal Startup Daily. Hope you have a great start to your weekend, and I'm going to see you right back here tomorrow, this time with the start of a 2-part post from James Altucher. So I'll see you there, where your optimal life awaits.